What is the one factor that leads to child poverty? Poor parents. It is the one factor. There is nothing about a child that makes him different from a child not in poverty. What I have found interesting about the Poverty Fact Sheet is how it paints a very interesting picture about Memphis and its people and the structural problems that we have here. It is and has been very easy to see from the beginning that there are tremendous racial disparities in Memphis. Very consistently, poverty rates for African Americans and Hispanics are 3-4 times higher than the poverty rate for non-Hispanic whites. This is even more shocking among children. Non-Hispanic white children have a poverty rate that is consistently less than 10%, whereas poverty rates for Hispanic and Black children are consistently 40-50%. Every year, the Poverty Fact Sheet comes out and the media call me and they say, well, what's new? Where did the poverty go with the poverty rate? Well, it went up, it went down, it went up, it went down, and every year we have that story where, ooh, it went up, ooh, we are number one, we are not number one, we're number two, now we're number one again. And we have that happen every year. But if you look at the long, take a long view of what is happening to the poverty rate, and you look at the racial and age disparities, you start losing the variation, and it starts looking really flat. So nothing really changes. You have tiny little variations, but the overall trend is very, very flat. And so what is happening here in Memphis is that the poverty is pretty resistant. Who's poor remains poor, who's not poor remains not poor. The trends look incredibly resistant to change, no matter what else is happening, whether there are political actions or different administrations. Nothing seems to have an impact. There are certain things that I think we could do to make this more fair. And one of the things is, and this is what other cities have done, we need a living wage. We're going to have people in poverty for as long as people are working full-time and still starving. We need to think about wages that will allow people to be full participants in the economic life of the society. We also need to invest in public transportation and in the infrastructure that will allow people to actually get to work. Those who most depend on public transportation can't always count on it. They can't count on buses being on time or frequent enough. That really impacts the ability of someone to get to work on time, to return from work at a time that will allow that person to rest or take care of the house or children. So when you look at Sweden, for instance, there are things that allow people to thrive, such as investments in public education all the way through getting a doctorate that makes it free, which allows anybody with the drive to study hard to do well. Because when education is expensive, what we're doing is we're excluding very smart, poor people. We need to think about affordable housing and integrated housing. And we need universal health care. It means that every one of us, every single working adult, needs to bear the cost of health care for everyone. In terms of our economy, poverty means that 30% of the people who live in this community are not able to participate in the economy, which means that 30% of sales that could be realized are not going to be realized. It means that small businesses are not going to do as well. It means that the city has less money for the things that would make us a world city that would be attractive to visitors and tourists and companies. By excluding 30% of the people, we are shooting ourselves in the foot. When you have tremendous inequality, there is poverty and inequality, and they combine together, you start having social disintegration, crime, because people feel so unfairly treated that why would they try to be fair to the society that's been so unfair to them? So it's bad for us. All the crime, all the social disintegration, all the anger is normal, because unfairness and injustice are against who we are as human beings.